Welcome, everybody, to the Primo Bros Show.
Yo, howdy, everyone. I'm Zeno.
I'm Dino, and this is the Primo Bro Show.
Episode 11. Krunch time. Personal favorite of mine.
Yeah. And what's the German name in summary, my brother Zeno?
It's Bonbon Entzug. Sorry, I had to watch the frickin' episode on a bootleg site because my frickin' hard drive isn't plugged in.
Yeah.
This episode is wonderful. Jimmy becomes a crack dealer unintentionally and has to deal with what's essentially the war on drugs, but it's all his fault. Every part of this is his fault.
Okay, well the thing is, every part of every episode is Jimmy's fault.
But more so in this one than any other.
It's true. Well, so, this is just, this is a, well, I'll get to, it's actually the Brain Blast fun fact of the day, but I'll get to it a little bit later. So, what's the summary of this episode?
Jimmy, goes to the candy bar and, Carl has a mid-childhood crisis on what he wants to get at the candy bar. Well, does he want something salty, sweet, sugary, gummy? He can't decide. He just can't decide.
Well,
so
Jimmy's
like, what? Yeah.
Based on his diet and his roundness, it might be even a midlife crisis.
Well, the episode where he gets really old, he basically has a midlife crisis.
It's true.
But, yeah, so Jimmy's like, what if I just made a candy that was all? And in doing so, accidentally gets the entire town addicted to it. Needs to figure out a way to put a stop to it.
Yeah.
So the people don't burn his house down to force him to make more.
Yep. So the episode starts out with Jimmy doing, before they go to the candy bar to get candy. Starts out with Jimmy
just electrocuting Carl for fun, basically.
Carl and Sheen. I think he got the idea for the electrocutions from Carl's dream episode. And he's like, payback.
You considered that.
Yeah.
Like, I would just like to say, was the car battery really necessary? Like, you have electrical sockets in your house.
Yeah.
You could just make a really tiny little zap with a couple AAA batteries or whatever.
I think the animators just really love using outrageous things. And also at this point, come on, why wouldn't Jimmy use a car battery? Like,
where'd he find it?
Okay, that's really the question you have here. Obviously, he took it from his parents' car.
I mean, yeah, I guess they don't really drive anywhere in this episode. They drive somewhere in the next episode, but not this one. Yeah.
Well, I really like the idea, but I don't like this idea, but I think this is taking the idea of a lab rat to a whole new level.
Yeah, like, Jimmy, just clone Mr. Wuggles.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Wuggle, 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 wuggles. Wuggle, 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 wuggle.
Sheen is a confirmed masochist throughout this whole episode, by the way.
He
very much likes the shock. He's just like, I don't understand this feeling because I'm 11 years old, but I like it.
It's true.
He doesn't say that.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm sure the voice actor said it at one point or not. But I love that, Sheen. I think Sheen and Carl are just masochists in general because they're still friends with Jimmy. They're still coming back every single time.
Yeah, it's just the difference between Sheen and Carl is that Sheen isn't in denial of it.
Yeah, that's true. Sheen, he's accepted his role, and he just goes full force. He just accepts it, and he knows what he wants, and he goes for it.
Carl just knows that eventually Jimmy's going to do something that's just actually fun, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And he's going to love it.
Yeah.
But until then, he's the lab rat that gets electrocuted.
I'm pretty sure when Carl falls in love with Jimmy's mom is when it all pays off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. I'm excited for that episode one day. I don't know which episode it is, but we'll get to it. But so yeah, they go to the candy bar. They can't decide. Like you said, mid-child crisis. And so Jimmy's like, you know what? I can do this better than anybody else. So I'm going to go home and make the best candy ever. So Jimmy and all his test tubes, like, you know, he has the essence of all these things. So it's like sweet, sour, salty, crunchy, and then the word fudgy. I don't know why.
I did not see fudgy.
Yeah, there's a word for fudgy. I don't know why I hate that word. It makes me mad that there's a word called fudgy. I don't even know if it's a real word, but it's just imagine like taking a sip and just in your mouth is the essence of fudge. Like, not the flavor, just the essence of like the hard to eat to get through thing. I don't know. I just don't like that word.
So you don't like that word. Is this because you haven't had good fudge before?
No, I've had good fudge, but just the word upsets me.
Okay. Because I can't
like,
say very much good about my father. However, he is a god at making fudge. Like, he makes the most kick-ass fudge in the universe.
Yeah. Well, sometimes there are some words that do upset me on command. And please don't speak them.
I do know a couple of them, and I'll refrain from using them.
But add fudgy to the list because it's made my list.
See, I actually think that that's a really cool essence to put into something, just because like the texture of fudge is rather pleasant. Even if it is often a little too sweet, but if you remove the sweetness from it, the texture is just pleasant. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's very soft.
Yeah, that's true.
But yes, I do agree that that's a very odd essence to have.
Makes me mad.
I imagine you put a drop on a cracker and suddenly you can just bite into it like it's a piece of fudge. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm beginning to see why you don't like it.
Exactly. Like, take away the actual like chocolatey goodness, and that's what you get.
So Sheen sees all these test tubes, right? And he's like, "Oh, this is gonna be awesome!" And he grabs the sour tube, and Jimmy's just like, "Sheen, that's concentrated essence of sour. It will kill you." And he takes a sip, and he's like, "I want to die."
Yeah, that's actually probably gonna be the thumbnail of this episode is when Sheen drinks the sour. Yeah, I love that because when I was a kid I was like, oh yeah, I can do sour, but then as an adult I'm like, yeah, it's probably not a good idea to do that.
So sour. Do you know what sour is when you taste it?
I don't know.
It's acid. That's the sensation
Really?
of acid on your tongue. Yes, which is why like things that are high in citric acid, like lemons, limes, they taste sour because that's what it feels like to have sour. It's just the reaction of acid on your tongue.
Oh.
Which means Sheen just drank acid, like literal acid.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jimmy just made him do acid.
Drug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but,
so
sorry, another tangent. So,
okay,
buddy of mine, James, really likes sour things. And James, being the smart, intelligent man that he is, in some aspects, but not others, especially food, decided, you know, I like sour so much, I'm just gonna buy acid like in a shaker container, like a salt shaker. So he did, and he put it on everything, and he's like, oh, this is delicious, I love it, this is amazing. And I was on call with him once when he was eating, and suddenly he goes, and he goes like away for a minute. I'm like, what the heck? What is he doing? And he comes back and he's like, so, and I hear like a thing hit the table. He's like, a piece of my tongue fell off.
What?
Like, he's like, yeah, like in the middle of my tongue, like just like the top of it, like a big chunk is just like, it's just sitting on the table in front of me now. And it feels really weird. And I was horrified at the idea. And then the next day he's like, yeah, I grew back. And I was like, how does this even happen? And he's like, so I called my friend who's a veterinarian, and he's like, oh yeah, the mouth is very vascular, so it heals really quickly. So that was basically just a ton of dead taste buds that just fell off, and you just, you know, regrew the flesh like overnight because, you know, there's a lot of blood flow there. Though I must say, I was horrified.
Yeah.
just something to keep you up at night. Don't do acid, kids, and don't drink acid.
Yeah.
Don't salt shaker it onto things. Just don't do that.
So, moving on. Jimmy tests out a bunch of different candies, and they all suck. One makes them grow beards. One makes them burp fire. Some just taste bad.
The first one looked like chocolate zucchini bread. That's what the first candy did to them. Are you okay?
I was just eating little sour candies, and a piece of my tongue fell out.
No. This is real! I wasn't lying!
I know you weren't lying, but it was just too good of a situation not to pass up on. So anyway, they're eating all these candies, and Jimmy's like, guys, I'm gonna do this even if it takes all night. And Carl and Sheen, finally making a good choice, decide to leave. And then Jimmy makes one final batch, which making the candy takes 3 hours. So they were doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
And Jimmy takes it to school, and Miss Fowl, with her amazing senses, says, "Wow, is that a bag of candy and a blah blah blah? Oh, share with the class."
Which is funny because like Cindy was right next to her, like talking.
Yeah.
and she's just like, I hear candy in a bag, and it's like, what the.
She was very specific. She's like, I hear candy in a paper bag. And then everybody takes a bite.
Which is just like odd that she just has that sense.
I mean, she's a teacher though. She probably has dealt with this a lot.
That's a good point.
So
Jimmy, why did he stay up all night doing this? Like, just make an algorithm that just tests random amounts of everything.
Because then we wouldn't have this episode.
I mean, yeah, I suppose.
Come on.
It just feels like Jimmy like takes shortcuts for everything. Like he makes a machine to do this thing, or to tie his shoes, or to brush his teeth. But then when it comes to the actual science part, he's just like, yeah, I'll do that by hand.
Hey, he likes the thrill. He likes learning about it. So everybody takes a piece of candy except Jimmy, which is actually a good thing in retrospect. And then
don't get high on your own supply.
Exactly.
Miss Fowl saved him from that. She took the last piece.
Yep. And so everybody loves it so much. It's the best candy in the world. Even Cindy is in love with this candy. She tries to deny it, but Jimmy supplied it. And then he goes home, falls asleep, and then he gets woken up in the middle of the night by Carl and Sheen, who are just like, "Hey, where's the drugs? I mean candy."
Their voice actors are really convincing, like addicts.
Carl's doing a really good addict impression. He's like stuttering his words. He's like shivering.
I like the little touch that his hands are shaking. That's wonderful.
The animators and the actors did a fantastic job in this episode.
But yeah, so Jimmy immediately realizes that everyone wants more of this thing, and he's like, "Okay, time to make the most out of this and exploit everyone."
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, Jimmy, what are you doing?
The first thing he ever thinks of whether it's like with Cindy or whatever, is how can I exploit this? And it always turns out the exact same way. But brain blast fun fact of the day, so think about this for a second. This up and coming genius learned how to make this super addictive substance that is different and better than anything that's come before. Yeah. Brain blast fun fact of the day. This is actually the inspiration where the creators of Breaking Bad got for their show.
What? Really?
No, that's a joke.
No, come on. Am I that dumb? I need to watch more Jimmy Neutron to have brain blasts and not fall for this crap.
Okay. Okay. I promise that was a joke. I thought of that during this episode, but You believed it because it kind of makes sense. But
well, you've been telling only good Brain Blast fun facts. Now I'm going to doubt every single one from now on.
So here's the actual Brain Blast fun fact of the day.
Yes.
There is a hammer and sickle flag behind Jimmy at the beginning of this episode. That's not a joke. That's not a joke.
When? When? When?
At the beginning of the episode. I assume when he's inside the booth protecting himself from his experiments on Carl and Sheen.
Well, good for him.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, the candy looks really good. And I'm like, and then,
something about like how like kind of bumpy it is, and it looks like it's got like little flavor pockets.
Yeah, exactly. And I just like the purple and the yellow. But so after all this happens, Jimmy takes control of town for like a day. But then he runs out of candy, and everybody freaks out on him, acting like zombies. Yeah. He goes home.
He was the most assertive he's ever been talking to Jimmy.
Exactly.
To give him more.
He goes home. His parents are like freaking out about it. They want more candy. And so he realizes, hey, I have to. This has gone too far. It's only been like less than 24 hours, but it's taken too far. So he goes, dumps it all in the sewers, which is probably going to get a lot of animals addicted to it. But then he just
I hadn't considered that.
He just took away all of these addicts' drug cold turkey.
Yeah,
and
he destroyed the supply cold turkey. Which is how Jimmy learns a very important lesson about the drug trade and inelastic demand. Which is... Because people... They're not gonna not get drugs. If they're addicted, they're gonna find a way.
I mean,
demand can't just disappear overnight, Jimmy.
You mean candy. They're gonna get candy.
Oh, yes. Candy.
Exactly. So everybody decides to attack him, and everybody's like doing a crowd of picket fencing and and everybody's like, attack, get him, let's force him to make candy. And he was like, good idea, go for his tiny legs.
Yeah, Hugh realizes like, oh my gosh, we could actually overtake my son. and we could make him make more.
We made God bleed.
Yeah, so Jimmy has his lovely little brain blast and realizes, oh shoot, if I can make it hurt, people won't want it anymore. So he makes it electric. And gives out an infinite supply.
So, okay, my thing that came to this is the way that he distracts everybody so that he can go and make it is Sam, the Candyman, because the Candyman can. He goes out with his hand puppet called Professor Something, and he distracts the people till Jimmy gets back. So Jimmy has made a new batch of candy, right? Because it's electrified, so when they eat it, it'll electrocute them, which I have many questions about. But it has been established it takes 3 hours to make this candy.
Yeah.
So how did Sam keep everybody distracted with his hand for that long?
Well, did you see who was entertained when he had the handout?
Who?
It was only Hugh.
That's it.
So Hugh was probably like, no, guys, wait. I think he's got some really good points.
Guys, let the professor talk.
Let him speak.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That is a good point.
But I would also like to point out that there is a massive flaw in this plot.
Uh-huh. How so?
Jimmy wrongfully assumes that the candy being bad for you or hurting is going to deter people. Jimmy, have you ever seen crack?
That's a good point. Look at Sheen, though.
Exactly. Okay, but Sheen's a sadist, or
masochist.
A masochist. So that's like,
hey,
that's established. That's well established from this episode alone.
That's true.
But,
that's true.
Cocaine does horrible things to a man, and it hurts long term and short term a lot of the time.
This is also a kid's...
But I guess the candy doesn't produce a high. It just
tastes amazing. Because well, okay, if it can fill all of those like tongue receptors and taste buds, that's what they're called. Then it's essentially, you know, it's filling all of your needs of what you want to eat. Right.
You know, that's a good point. It is kind of a high because I remember they did like an MRI on someone while they drank soda, and it did like hit pleasure receptors in the brain.
Oh yeah, well,
so it's not like a strong high, but it's you know, if it hits all of them, it must be at least a little bit of a high.
Well, yeah, obviously, if it's crunchy, if it's sweet, if it's gummy, like if it's all these things, then it's amazing. But I don't think it would be that good because have you ever put all the sodas from a soda fountain into one cup? It just tastes like garbage.
I think of the video of the guy who puts like his cup and he goes to every single one and goes takes a sip, looks in the camera and goes, "Fuck you."
Yeah. Exactly. But what are your final thoughts on this episode?
Personal favorite. I think this is a great episode to recommend to people who've never seen the show before. Right up there with the candy salesman episode.
Okay.
In my eyes.
Yeah. No, I
and
think, yeah.
My theory on how the candy works, if you combine all the flavors, is that it's whatever you want it to taste like.
Ooh.
That's the only way I can think of having all of those things in there that it actually works.
That's smart. Dang.
Yeah, Jimmy's a smart guy.
Yeah, so are you.
Oh, thank you.